Hello and welcome everyone, I am Madals and this is another StarCraft 2 England cast. I've got a TvT today. It is just the one game. It is against it is Pasildany versus the red Terran versus vileHasHe, who is the blue Terran. vileHasHe, of course, is going to be really good. Pasil, who I'm going to call him just because Pasildany is a bit hard to say, versus vileHasHe. It should be good. Obviously, being a TvT is a ladder match, so those supply depots, they don't be down. They don't be down anywhere, which means no wall-offs or anything like that. But being TvT, this is actually really interesting. TvT is the matchup I am most trying to get an intricate, in-depth knowledge of at the moment. Not because I play Terran, but just because I find it a really interesting matchup to watch. The tank positioning, the dropping of units on top of tank lines, drops as a whole, infantry balance to tank balance, and well, there's lots that can go on, and I really quite like that. It's quite strategic, I feel. And at no point is it like, well, my opponent can just beat me flat out. I mean, if you get up against a 4 warp gate as in a PvP, then they can very quickly get a lot of units. Whereas in TvT, it's all very linear. You get more units, the more production facilities you have, which you can't get too early on, and it's just nice and balanced, I feel. I think it's a really interesting matchup where you have to be very strategic to make it work. Anyway, I am on a massive castathon right now, and it is so fun. I do happen to know this game isn't going to be all over in about a minute, because the previous game I cast, there was just a massive cheesy all-in where drones were pulled and everything, so that was a bit sad times, but that is all fine, because sometimes fun games like that are fun. Unless you've been cheesed, then it's not fun. Anyway, an SCV going at it here. We've got the other SCV checking the other close by ground position, so it's going to go the wrong way, which is sad times. Pasil, you're just bad luck scouting. That is always bad times, but that's fine. vileHasHe, he is getting up to orbital command, has gas. No gas out yet for Pasil. So, be interesting to see what he's going to do without that gas. Is he going to knock down a command center somewhere? Was there a kill then on that SCV? Oh yeah, that SCV was on it, but then the Marine killed everything. Anyway, we should see a command center thrown down, literally bang, there we go, it is on it. Meanwhile, this gas has got to be used for something sometime soon. What are we going to see? Build something with the gas. You're spending a lot of gas and not building anything yet. Go on, vileHasHe, you can do it. Anyway, coming back over here, we've got the command centers coming down. We've got everything going on. We've got Marines. Marines are good units, so let's get some more of those. That's always fun. There goes down the factory, but still a lot of extra gas. So I'm surprised that factory didn't come down fractionally earlier. I don't really know why not, but that's because I'm not a Terran player. There might be a reason. If there is, let me know in the comment section below. And let me say, if you like my cast, subscribe, new games up daily, like the video just because that would be awesome, and I love the support, and leave a cool comment below, on anything, because I like to interact with you guys. I try and answer most of the comments, so do feel free to. Anyway, SCVs are dying. We got the reactor coming down, so could we see reactor Hellions? Maybe we could. Maybe. That's just to get more Marines out. We will wait and see. Meanwhile, we've got a second barracks coming up. The double gas out of Pasil. He is also getting down a bunker. That's going to help him defend the Marines on the low ground there, outside the natural, to deny any scouts. So really, Pasil has no clue whether the command center has been thrown down or not, or whether it's a one-base play. A starport now. Gotta love a bit of starports. What's all going to be used for? Marines are coming out. Could we see some... Well, we could see some elevator play used where the medevac just lifts a unit up here to get in the main base to completely avoid that bunker. Who knows? It's all ever so pressing and interesting. I can't wait to see how this all plays out. Anyway, guys, have you been all watching loads of tournaments? I have. It's been fun. Let me know what tournaments you've been watching in the comment section below. I'm really trying to get people to comment more. Seriously, comment. It's brilliant. Just let me know how your day was. Anyway, Marines, they're coming over. Meanwhile, back at Pasil's base, he does have that bunker down. He's getting yet another factory, well, his first factory. So, obviously, with the double barracks, he's able to get a good number of Marines out. But, of course, we do have a siege tank coming out. A siege tank and a medevac. So this could be very potent depending on how his opponent goes. He does have a lot of Marines though, so those Marines could potentially be difficult to deal with. The scan goes off though. The scan sees everything, sees the tank, sees the lack of expansion. It is such a giveaway. Pasil now getting down his starport, a tech lab coming down there as well. The tank production will be started shortly. The second rack's being added on here. by vileHasHe. And well, there is the load up of the medevac, the tank, the 4 marines. What can they do? Meanwhile, we do have a bunker coming down in the main base. Pasil is ready to deal with this, but of course there's this area at the back. What could be done there? There could be big damage. This drop is going to come and going to get spotted by the supply depot, though. The marines are in a central position, so will it all be fine? We'll wait and see. For the moment, though, here come out the marines. There comes out the tank, and well, we should see some good damage done here. Of course, a lot of SCVs getting picked off. Wow, this is actually killing an awful lot of SCVs. It gets picked up, though, and just runs away. So that was effectively 6 marines for literally nothing. All that vileHasHe has lost so far is, of course, that one poor SCV that was scouting. A second medevac out now, a second barracks about to finish up rather, siege mode on its way, no expansion though, so really Pasil, the longer this game goes on, the further ahead he'll get in terms of the worker count, assuming he doesn't keep taking damage. Now Pasil getting out that Viking, that is going to shut down the drops that could potentially go in. A lot of units here already, so this is all good. The siege mode on its way, and it has got shut down pretty hard now. If I was vileHasHe, I would really just chuck down that command center really quite quickly, because you're committing a lot to this push. Yes, your siege mode is going to be done any second, but so far you haven't really done much with it. You're going to move out 2 tanks and a lot of marines. 2 tanks, 2 medevacs, and a handful of marines is actually a really quite potent push in any matchup as Terran. It is really quite powerful. Maybe not against Protoss, perhaps, but against Zerg, it is a really strong time to move out with those 2 tanks. So, bit of the matchup, but just so you'll know. Anyway, you've got a handful of marines being picked up there. Are they going to get dropped into the main base? Will there be anything else there? The tank siege up. Vision of the high ground, of course, is going to be given. Some great shedding going off. Quite a few marines get picked off quickly now. And, well, the second dropship worth of marines on their way in. Already the Viking picked up. Siege tanks are there, though. You don't want to run those marines forward into the siege tanks. That would be bad times. You could always, though, use the medevacs to fly over to the siege tanks and drop right on their head, because there's no marines there. That is what you should do. And, well, the siege tank's getting taken out because there's no vision there. And, well, maybe you should focus the siege tank. Just a tiny, tiny little suggestion. Here we go. Come on, hit the siege tank. The siege tank will die. Nothing else will with the repairs going off. But here goes the repairs. Now we've got the marines dropping down. That's how you do it, vileHasHe. And, well, some good damage on its way, and unsiege goes down quickly because, of course, while they're sieged up, nothing will work. We do have a tank there taking some big fire, and this is pretty aggressive. Both those Vikings should mutually destroy each other, but the repairs going off by Pasil, so that Viking gets a free win. That is awesome moves right there. We've got a drop coming in towards the natural base. That could be very, very strong. A third tank on its way in now. This is really awkward. We of course now have another tank coming up, and well, we have got lots of fire going down. Those marines need to get focused, and then of course the vision is yet again gone, and here comes the drop to the natural. vileHasHe is doing so well. He is just really dominating, but of course his opponent has had a better income for quite a while now, but that is quickly going to end as all of the marines apparently die. Most of this force moving back. Where are all the tanks gone? They have pulled right out the way. And really it's just a full retreat. In terms of the worker count now, that leveled it up massively. And of course the natural base has now just been started, but the pressure is still continuing. The tank count is 3 apiece. 1 Viking to 3 Vikings though, and 25 marines to 8. So the tank count higher for Pasil. Obviously the defender's advantage is pretty big. The bunker going to go down massively quickly. That siege tank there though could be the saving grace. Of course now, due to the medevacs and the drop, Pasil has basically got to defend 2 places at once. He's got to defend his natural and also his main base still, so that swapping to and from could be annoying. In terms of workers killed, 17 already knocked out. That is really good going, but of course with 2 orbital commands, that's twice the number of mules, so Pasil should have more stuff right now. If we take a look at the army supply, well, it is actually scarily even right now. This matchup's so close. All of vileHasHe's units are pulling back though. Instead of keeping on the aggression, he's just going to be a bit more safe, leaving a medevac where it literally can see nothing, because that is always helpful, I find. Anyway, engineering bay coming down. We've got Stim on its way. We've got the starport building more Vikings for the air dominance, and I really found that's interesting that not actually many medevacs have been built this game at all. All about the wagons, because air dominance can be extremely powerful. And look at vileHasHe taking a hidden command center expansion that, if it's not discovered, could really alter how this game goes. Like, hugely so. Pasil looks like he's gonna move across the map now to try and do some damage. Unfortunately though, vileHasHe is in such a great defensive position, it would be really difficult to push through that, because the tanks will just never be able to siege up in time. Unfortunately though, there's no vision down there at the moment. That could be the only thing that hurts quite badly. A scan does now go off, and well, we will wait and see what happens here. We've got, of course, more units moving across. We've got a good siege up position. Vision of the high ground has been gained. A double scan going off from both these players. The medevac getting focused, trying to prevent all those Marines coming down, but they do manage to get there. The Marines engaging the siege tank within range. I'm surprised they didn't move forward. That possibly would have been a better move, but for the moment it's now defending on 2 planes of attack. There are a lot more Marines there. The tank sieged up in a great spot, and now vileHasHe is in a position Pasil was earlier on, really pinned back to their own base. Not a fun place to be. You don't want to be there at all. But as we look here, second factory on the way down now, and well, Pasil will struggle to push in because of course there are those 3 tanks there, but it's 3 tanks against 4 tanks. If there's a handful of Marines there as well, could perhaps be dealt with. Now, the other thing I'm surprised that isn't being done, you could land a Viking down here and use the shelling of their own tank to deal the damage. That would be quite an interesting way of easing things. Pasil though moving across the map with quite a few reinforcements. Meanwhile, vileHasHe is getting up a refinery. He's got that 3rd orbital command, and I don't think there's any clue at all that that is there. There would be very little reason for Pasil to even go over there, to be fair. So that could play out very interestingly, because that's going to really start influencing the income really quite heavily. But the important thing that vileHasHe has to think about is that if he drops all of his mules over here, his opponent will start wondering why there are no mules. I know I would. Anyway, here we go. We've got 4 tanks against 4 tanks. Yet again, that siege position allowed to be achieved. That could have been prevented quite heavily by just putting 1 tank over there, because as soon as they started approaching it would have caused a problem. But now, of course, the vision being gained by those Vikings, that vision's so critical. Why we've seen just so many Vikings get produced from both of these players at the moment, although we do see here Pasil is far ahead in terms of Viking count. The tanks are going to move forward just outside of the shelling range, and of course those tanks have no vision, so that'll be very close. But there goes down the scan, and look at that damage mutually, both taking an awful lot of fire. Now really this is vileHasHe will start pulling ahead. As you can see, the worker count already getting his way. The 3rd base is about to finish up though for Pasil, but he's got to morph that into an orbital command, and it also means that potentially he can mine out in his bases quicker because he's chucking the mules down there at the moment. Now vileHasHe is really quite contained at the moment. The only way to really push out of this, in my opinion, is you have to get in a good spot to either drop on top of that army or really just wait it out. And the only, well, alternatively, you could just send a dropship over. That is another option you do have available to you, but look at this reinforcements. I mean, really this container is being held by just 4 tanks and a handful of Marines, but vileHasHe would take such heavy losses if he were to try and push through. A couple more tanks up on the high ground, just making sure things are okay. So both these players are in an okay spot at the moment. Some of these tanks would probably be quite wise to move over to this position just to be as good as they can. 1 Marine sacrificing itself to find out if there are still tanks there. Scan going off to find out exactly how many. Of course, this base really influencing things right now. The income for vileHasHe is just so good, but of course they are both now on 3 bases yet again, so that will play out now. We do see here at the moment a lot of Vikings moving over. Every time they start moving over here, I'm convinced they're going to go and scout, but again, why would you? There's no indication that your opponent does have anything other than the 2 bases. We do have the double Evo and the armory coming out now, so that armory of course will be for the vehicle upgrades, but for the moment no infantry upgrades started either. So we'll wait and see whether any are. Some tanks really could do with moving forward over to here, because otherwise all of Pasil could lose, well, this area, which would be a bit of a big loss. Reactor coming down, and well, still more units moving around. We've got Vikings on their way back, we've got more reinforcements on their way. Meanwhile though, here we go, vileHasHe is feeling lucky. He is moving forward, he's sieging up. Those Marines trying to pick up the tanks as quickly as they can. They do clear out a lot of them, and a lot of tanks not even sieging up, which is always a good move to go for. And vileHasHe really chose his moment quite wisely there. Needs to be careful though, because he is now out of Marines. He can re-siege up, trying to get the vision from the scan, and of course the Vikings are gaining vision as well, but that leaves all but 1 tank destroyed. There's a second one in there somewhere, and now here is vileHasHe with an awful lot of Vikings. That is a lot more Vikings than his opponent have right now, which means he is in a great spot. He has beaten that contain, but here come the reinforcements. A lot of reinforcements are on their way over right now, and this is again a really close engagement. Pasil does have the larger army and more workers now, but not by a huge amount, and of course positioning and everything can play a large influencing factor on that. But of course, Pasil will feel ahead because, as far as he is aware, he has the third base and his opponent does not. So that always means that he's not going to be in a rush to end anything, because ultimately he knows his opponent should be mined out because he is as well, and that means his natural's getting low and oversaturated and he doesn't have the income. But a 4 dropship drop of Marines coming in towards this base, will it get spotted by anything? No, it won't. There's nothing there. All of these production facilities could take just such large damage, and it takes such a long time for HasHe to get back, but it could allow him the time to push forward and start picking off tanks. That'd be a problem. But here comes the drop. A scan goes off just to see what's there. What are these Marines going to focus? How will HasHe respond? He's pulling back a handful of Marines and also the Vikings. The Vikings will be essential. All the add-ons are going to get focused down exceptionally quickly. That is going to be irritating, to say the least. The Vikings need to get focused because they can always prevent any return back to their base. But in come the defense Marines, with a much better attack arc there for Pasil compared to HasHe. And, well, HasHe could potentially lose an awful lot of stuff here. He's going to pick off that orbital command. That's a big win. Going to get the tech lab as well, another win. Can he kill off the factory as well? Potentially he can, because, I mean, there's no way this force is going to work. But we do have the Vikings moving forward, getting picked off. All the Vikings die to the Marines, though. That is a big fault. Of course, Pasil is taking a 4th base up in the very top left position as well. So, well, for the moment, though, it is really going in Pasil's favour. The only downside is he's spending a lot of time killing everything. And really, unfortunately, HasHe has not countered this in any way, shape or form, and has lost pretty much all of his production right now. He's moving forward, he's killing an awful lot of Marines. The tanks, though, they're the problem. The siege tanks dealing huge amounts of damage, and there's the pickup. So really 1.5 medevacs worth of stuff killed off in exchange for all of your opponent's production facilities. I call that a pretty good trade. A 4th base is up now for HasHe. Of course, so is there, though, for Pasil. So again, these two players are very equal economically at the moment. If we look at the worker count, it's, well, actually it's not that close. Pasil with the 74 workers to 55, that's a big advantage. And of course the oversaturation here is absolutely massive. But then again, so is it there. So this is TvT after all. The winner is a person who comes out on top after the map is mined out. Now, we do have the Viking giving vision. Again, so important. The vision here against the siege lines is huge. A scan goes off, but unfortunately nothing can reach. We do have a handful of Pasil's units moving around, trying to get a good attack angle. Pasil very heavily ahead in terms of the supply now. Really, he has double the army. So that is really going to play out well, and it's the point where you can almost just go and roll stomp your opponent. Need to be careful, though, with how you engage, because obviously with siege tanks dealing so much damage, it is not just an automatic win. You do have to think about what you're doing as best you can. So anyway, we do have now the sensor tower coming down. That is a very forward position of a sensor tower. We do have a 5th base on its way out for Pasil, but still this hidden 4th is still completely unbeknown to his opponent. Upgrade wise, we've got the +3 Terran infantry and the +2 vehicle weapons, compared to no upgrades and 1-1. So it's 2-1 1 against 0-0-1-1. So that's always good. A lot of SCVs are going to go down here. The shelling could be absolutely devastating. The orbital command gets picked off as well, and that could really be the nail in the coffin. And as he already knows it, vileHasHe does GG out. So that was an awesome TvT. Some really great play from both players. If you did enjoy, subscribe, new games up daily, like the video, and leave a comment. That would be great. And if you want any more StarCraft, flick over to my channel. But if you've watched all of my casts, then A, congratulations, and B, I will see you tomorrow for yet another new game. I'm Madals. This was an SC2 England cast. Bye for now.